Guess who's back? Back again. Tish is back. Tell a friend.
How long must the so-called black man suffer? Hate from the nations and hate from his brother. Another brother dead is another soul gone. I'm praying for the Lord to take us up and take us home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today I am back with a video that I have been excited to make. I think it's a video that we all really need, that I don't feel like other people are talking about, but I want to talk about it today because I feel like it's important. It's important to be very realistic about being in the truth. So everybody talks about waking up to the truth, but what does that really look like? What does it actually mean to be in the truth day in and day out? Like, this is your life. So let's talk about it. And before I get into the video, if you are new here, my name is Tish. I make lifestyle, wellness, and discussion-focused content for Hebrew Israelite women and our community as a whole. So if that sounds appealing to you, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can become part of the tribe and you'll never miss when I upload new content. And to my old heads and day ones, welcome back. So today I just want to be like real. Like, I'm always real, but today I want to be real. This walk in the truth is beautiful and it's a blessing, but it's not easy. So the awakening is just the beginning. I want to cover like what it feels like when you first come into the truth, right? There's an excitement, you feel a sense of power, a sense of identity, but also there is a shock and a disconnect from your family, your friends, the life you've been living for however long, old traditions, and it can be quite different. Let's quote Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, but I will personally say that, but knowledge without wisdom and discipline can also lead to destruction. So the struggle is real, guys. Let's talk about the reality of letting go of things that you have done your entire life and how much of a shock that is. It can be refreshing, but it also can be a little bit depressing at the same time. I feel like I was a little bit lucky in my journey into the truth. My husband introduced me to the truth when he found out about it. But I was never really tied to anything. Like, I believed in God, but I didn't grow up in like a real religious family. My family didn't really idolize holidays. Like, we did stuff for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it wasn't like a super big deal. So I didn't have like an attachment to those things where when I had to stop doing them, they were like a big deal for me. But I saw like other people struggle. Like, that is, if you are a very family focused person and that is like holidays and things like that are such a big deal, it is very hard to leave that life behind. You're letting go of old habits, of holidays, of foods, of old mindsets. You're also at the same time possibly facing rejection and isolation, rejection from family and friends that don't understand this truth that you're walking into, isolation because there are not many people or there aren't any people who want to take this walk with you. And then let's talk about something that I think is really important: conflicting ideas and beliefs with camps and doctrines. Like, we are all Hebrew Israelites, right? And for the most part, we have the same philosophy and live by the same laws, statutes, and commandments. But we are also different, and some of us believe some things and some don't believe others. So I'll tell you that over the past 6 months, I no longer celebrate Sabbath on Saturday. I no longer go by that philosophy that Sabbath is the seventh day, but if I believe in the lunar calendar, which is what I've been following since I've been in the truth, and I 100% believe that the lunar calendar shifts, so Sabbath has to shift as well. And there are camps and doctrines who don't go by that and don't believe that at all. And like, it doesn't bother me. Like, it is what it is. But when you're first coming into the truth, or even if you've been in the truth for a while, sometimes it's hard to like to say to yourself or someone else, this is what I believe, and that's okay. It's okay for this camp or these set of people to believe this thing, but this is my understanding and this is where I'm coming from, and feel like that's accepted. Also, the temptation to give up or compromise, right? I find that I don't ever want to give up, but I do sometimes feel myself compromising in things that I don't want to necessarily compromise in. Like, I have maybe over the past couple years have reconnected with a lot of my family, and they celebrate holidays, and I do feel the pressure to acknowledge their holidays or acknowledge that they're celebrating something that I don't believe in or I don't agree with, because I want to be respectful to them the same way I want them to be respectful of the fact that I'm not celebrating Christmas, I'm celebrating Hanukkah. You know what I'm saying? But I do also feel this like tug of war, like you're acknowledging something that you know is not true with trying to be just a kind person and thoughtful. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not always about Shabbat and joy and the feast days and the high holy days. Sometimes it's about spiritual warfare, loneliness, and cutting things and people off that no longer serve you or align with who you are becoming in this truth. Who you are supposed to be by God's standards. All right, let's move on to staying grounded in the spirit. So I really want to emphasize tools and things that we all should be doing to stay emphasized in the spirit. Now, I'm a firm believer that not all Israelites aren't created equal. What's going to work for me is not going to work for you. What's too much for you is not enough for me. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I don't think there's like a right, well, there are things that are right to do, like you're supposed to do, you have to do it in truth, but sometimes how you go about it is really up to you. As long as you're not breaking your moral character, you're following the law, statutes, and commandments, I feel like you can do things the way you feel you need to do them. But it is important to pray and fast. Now, I don't think everyone should be fasting, obviously, and that's why this is why I say, you know, figure out what your balance is in the truth. But prayer is something that I feel like everyone should be doing, right? Fasting, if you can, for health reasons, but also sometimes for mental clarity, right? To give yourself time to figure out what the answer is. What is God trying to tell you? What is he trying to say to you? And sometimes when you're just scarfing down food and you're living, and it's not even about food as far as fasting goes. Sometimes you're just living life. Like, you're just running from one fire to the other. You're here, you're there, you're everywhere. And sometimes fasting can provide you with like a stillness that you need to figure out what the answers are, because sometimes the answers are in front of your face, but because you're doing all the things, you can't see what they are. My next thing would be, it's important to find community, whatever that looks like for you. Some people are good with camps. They need that kind of like community, people meeting up a certain time or whatever. But I think it's important to find a community, whether you're on social media, if you can find a Hebrew Israelite community there, if you have friends who are in the truth, talking to them. If it's this video in the comment section, do that. But I think it's important to find some sort of community, because as I said before, the truth, this walk can be kind of lonely sometimes, and it can be very isolating, and it's important. I'm a firm believer, even though I am not a community-based person. I am such, like, I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. It just depends on where I'm at, like who I'm with. But I am so like, default position is to stay by myself. So, but I understand the importance of community and communication and speaking to people, having conversation and going back and forth and getting vibes and energies. That's so important. So whatever that looks like for you, it's really important that you establish some sort of community to keep yourself from going crazy. Also, knowing who you are in Yah, not just by blood and who his chosen people are, but by obedience, right? Sometimes in this truth, people will tell you, well, ooh, the sun's coming in. Sometimes people will tell you in this truth, like, you gotta do this, and if you're not doing this and whatnot. But the truth is, sometimes you don't want to. There's some mornings where I do not want to pray. I don't, for whatever reason. Like, I don't want to read the Bible. I don't want to celebrate the Sabbath. Like, I don't want to cook the day before, so I have food for the day. Like, it's a lot on me. I'm working, I'm doing this. Like, these are things sometimes I don't want to do, but you do them anyway, right? You do them anyway because it shows we're in this predicament because we didn't listen, because we weren't obeying God's laws. So you're not always going to want to do things. You're not always going to want to do the things that you're supposed to do. You're not always going to want to clean your house before Passover and get all the leavening out. These are things that you're not always going to want to do. You're tired, you're this, you're that, but you do them anyway. You do them to show an obedience to God. You do them to show that you are serious about this truth. You are serious about who you are. And sometimes you fall short, and sometimes you find that middle ground, and sometimes you far exceed, and that's okay. Again, about being realistic. Now I want to talk about, and this is the one that to me is the most important, that people do not talk about. So let's talk about the fruits of the Spirit versus being able to quote precepts and scriptures, okay? There's a difference. I will be the first to tell you that my husband is a scholar, okay? My daughters, two of my daughters, scholars. They could tell you that you're like, what's this verse? They could tell you off the top of their head. Like, they know. They know that Bible back and forth, up and down, 6-7, 6-7, okay? I am not that girl. I'm a researcher by nature. I've always been that way. I may not be able to tell you exactly what the scripture says, but I can find it. Like, I've always been that way. So I don't commit scripture to memory very well. It's just not something I do, but I can find the information. I can kind of tell you about it and then go find it. That is me. And I feel like a lot of times we look at the people who can quote scripture and wear the thing and talk the talk and have the headdress and wrap their hair and wear the skirts and to do this and to do that. And on the outside, they look like the perfect Hebrew Israelite, but their spirit is off. I see this a lot, okay? A lot. My thing is that if you can't quote the scripture, and maybe you don't look like the quintessential Hebrew Israelite woman, if your heart is in it and you're willing to do the things even when you don't want to do it, you're willing to get up and walk this truth every single day, day in, day out, when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when you're like, no, I'm not breaking God's laws. Whether somebody has that pork on the table and you're like, I'm not eating that joint, I'll starve. That to me is more important than whether you can quote a scripture to me. And I think a lot of times we find ourselves wanting to be perfect and look perfect and do the things. And honestly, when I first started this channel, that was me. Well, I have to wear this and I have to wrap my head and I have to do this and I have to do that. And not that it wasn't me, it was me at the time. But I have to understand this is a long life in the truth. And trying to fit myself in a box that I don't fit into, it's not gonna work. It's just not. And once I threw away the expectation or the ideology that I had to be this perfect thing, I'm more successful in my walk in this truth than I have ever been. So I want you to really think about that. when you're thinking about being realistic? What does that look like for you? If you're following the law, statutes, and commandments, you're not compromising your moral integrity. What does the truth really look like for you? And I will quote Galatians 5:22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith. All right, let's wrap this up, guys. So I just want to give you some encouragement and some faith, right? Let's have some real faith talks. Like, you are not alone. Like, you are not alone. There may be Israelites you're seeing on the internet and YouTube and social media that make it seem like it's perfect, but it's not, okay? There's somebody out there, however you're feeling right now, is feeling the exact same way, okay? I've gone through it. My husband has gone through it. My children have gone through it. I know people who have gone through it. So you are not alone. It is okay to struggle, fall down, and feel overwhelmed. The key is not to stay down, right? So if you make a mistake, or you do something, or you don't do something that you feel like you should have done, the key is to get up and try again. What my best advice to you is to grow, like encourage growth through the truth, through your years in the truth, the things that you learn, but not perfection. No one's perfect. And the truth, being in the truth is no different. Like, nothing is perfect in life, and walking this walk is not perfect either. It's just impossible to be that. So do your best. Perfection is not something that you should be striving for. I mean, you should, but you shouldn't also. Like, be realistic about that. Being in the truth does not mean that you're perfect. It means that you're chosen, you're set apart, and with time, you will become refined. All right, guys, so I'm gonna head out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below, what's one real challenge that you faced in this walk? Let's comment down below. Be a support system to our sisters, again, that community. And I would love for you to like, share, subscribe if this message resonated with you. I will leave you with this scripture, Matthew 24:13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. That's my time, guys. I so appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Shalom.
Something really special happening in our midst. The Israelites are coming back and now we're getting fixed. Stand as a man, cause a man keep the laws. Remember who you are so the Lord can hear you call. Oppression maketh the wise man mad, right? A telltale sign that we need some act right. We lost cause we done took off our own guard and traded in our royalties for a gift card.